October 22, 1707. Four Royal Navy warships struck rocks in the dark, less than a day's sail from home. Between 1,400 and 2,000 sailors drowned in minutes. The fleet's commander drowned with them. No storm, no enemy, just four ships that weren't where they thought they were, and no way to know it until the rocks were already under the hull. By 1707, sailors were good at latitude. Measure the angle of the sun or the North Star, and you know how far north or south you are. That part was solved. Longitude, how far east or west, was not. There was no star that told you that. The only method anyone had was dead reckoning. Track your speed, track your heading, track how long you've been sailing, and guess. Do that across 3,000 miles of open Atlantic, in changing wind, in fog, at night, and the guess compounds. A mile of error becomes 10. 10 becomes 100. Admiral Cloudesley Shovel's fleet believed they were safely south and west of the Isles of Scilly. They were actually to the north and east, on a direct line into the rocks. For ships went down. The flagship Association sank in 3 or 4 minutes, taking her entire crew of roughly 800 men, including Shovel himself. It remains one of the worst disasters in the history of the Royal Navy, and it happened in home waters, a few hours from port. This wasn't a one-off. Every navy in Europe was losing ships and cargo the same way, year after year, and just writing it off as the cost of sailing. Scilly was just big enough and public enough that Parliament couldn't look away anymore. In 1714, Parliament passed the Longitude Act. Whoever could find a practical way to determine longitude at sea would receive a reward worth £20,000, worth millions of dollars today. The most brilliant scientific minds in Europe threw themselves at it. Astronomers, mathematicians. Newton weighed in. Everyone assumed the answer was in the sky. Track the moon, track the stars, do the math fast enough to matter. The man who solved it wasn't an astronomer. John Harrison was a self-taught carpenter from Yorkshire, the son of a woodworker, with no university training and no formal standing in the scientific world. He built clocks as a hobby before he built them for a living, and he'd already figured out something the professionals hadn't. The problem wasn't really about the stars at all. It was about time. Here's the idea. The Earth turns 360 degrees in 24 hours. That's 15 degrees every hour. If you know what time it is at a fixed reference point, say, London, and you can measure local time on your ship by the sun, the difference between those two times tells you exactly how far east or west you've traveled. The math was simple. The problem was keeping a clock that told London time accurately, on a wooden ship, rolling in salt air, through freezing storms and tropical heat, for months at a time. Pendulum clocks, the only accurate clocks that existed, were useless at sea. They couldn't survive the rocking. Harrison built one massive, increasingly refined sea clock after another. H1, H2, H3, each one bigger, heavier, more mechanically ambitious than the last. Then, in his 60s, after a side project building a precision pocket watch went unexpectedly well, he had a realization that undid 3 decades of his own assumptions. The solution wasn't a bigger clock. It was a smaller one. H4 looked nothing like its predecessors. It was a watch, about 5 inches across, small enough to hold in one hand, ticking 5 times a second, a faster beat than any watch of its era, built to resist temperature swings that would throw off ordinary clockwork. Harrison was in his late 60s. He sent his son instead. William Harrison carried H4 aboard the Deptford on an 81-day voyage across the Atlantic. To win the full prize, The watch needed to stay accurate enough to place the ship's position within 30 nautical miles after that crossing. When they reached Jamaica, the watch was off by 5 seconds. 5 seconds, over 81 days at sea. That's roughly 1 nautical mile of error, 30 times better than what the law required. A carpenter's watch had just outperformed the combined astronomical establishment of Europe. The Board of Longitude, the same body created to award this exact prize, decided the result had to be luck. They demanded a second trial. Harrison, now in his 70s, sent his son back out, this time to Barbados, with a rival astronomer aboard testing a competing method for comparison. H4 came in at just over 39 seconds of error across 47 days, 3 times better than the accuracy needed to win. It wasn't luck, it was margin. Even then, the board wouldn't just hand over the prize. They paid Harrison half, demanded he disclose exactly how the watch worked, and required other clockmakers prove they could copy it before releasing the rest. It took a direct appeal to King George III and one more watch, H5, tested personally by the king himself, before Parliament finally forced the issue. Harrison was in his 80s by the time it was fully resolved. But the design worked, and that was the part that mattered. Copies of Harrison's watch, cheaper, mass-producible chronometers built on his principles, went to sea with captains like James Cook, who credited his chronometer directly with the accuracy of his Pacific navigation. Within a generation, dead reckoning across open ocean stopped being standard practice. Ships knew where they were.